Hello everyone, this is Arpan. In this video, I'll demonstrate about vSphere vMotion. So vMotion is nothing but migrating your VMs from one cluster to another cluster, or from one host to another host, or even in between different data centers as well. So you can only migrate the VMs which are there in your vCenter server. So to migrate between different vCenter server, you have to use this vCenter converter or vCenter replication servers. So to migrate the VMs that are running in your cluster, first of all, you have to make sure that all the hosts that are part of your cluster should have a shared storage. So shared storage you can configure as a NFS volume or iSCSI LUNs. So once the hosts are having shared storage and their management network configured for vMotion, then only VMs can be migrated from one host to another. So in this part, I'll show you how to create a management network for vMotion and how to migrate VMs. So as it is shown over here, this cluster called ESXi cluster _1 is having the shared storage, and here this storage is, this data stores are being shown. So as I haven't created any management network for vMotion, so my first job would be creating a management network, and this host also doesn't have a management network for vMotion. So let me just first create it. So I'll select the host, I'll go to configuration, then I'll click on the option add networking. So I'll select a VM kernel, so that is for vMotion or iSCSI. Then I'll select like which standard switch and which NIC card I'm gonna use. So any of the switch you can use over here. So this is the VLAN ID, that is optional. I'll select the option for vMotion, and that is like management traffic, and network type will be default IP. So here I need to specify the network IP address through that my VMs will be migrated from one to another. So once I've given the IP address and the default mask, so it is showing the summary page in which NIC card it is connected and what IP and what VLAN ID you have given to this management network. So as you can see, it has created over here. And this one is for vMotion, and the active adapters and whatever settings you have selected over you can see here. So in vMotion there are two types of vMotion. One is virtual machine migration, and another one is storage vMotion, that means storage migration. So if you're installing the vSphere client, then if your VM is turned on, then you can't migrate both the VM and its storage at the same time. So you need to turn off to migrate both. But if you're using the vSphere web client, so if your VM is powered on also, in that case you can migrate both things. So here I'm selecting this test VM and click on migrate. Then as you can see, my migrate virtual machine in this wizard, this change both host and data store option is blurred. So as this VM is powered on, so either I can change the host or either I can change the data store. So in that case, I have opened the vCenter console with this web client. So here also I'll do the same thing. I'll right click on the VM, I'll select the option migrate. So here that option is enabled, change both host and data store. then I need to specify the cluster. So once I select the cluster, and this down below compatibility, it will show whether it is compatible or not. So some sort of warning or error it will give. So as you can see, one of the prerequisites is like the vMotion interface management network, for both host and for both source and destination should have full duplex and 1 Gbps network bandwidth to support the vMotion. But VMware always recommends this thing, and if the main thing is like you need to configure the management network, and the host should have the shared storage. So even though it's showing the warning, but still you can see that your VM has been migrated. But yeah, it'll take a bit time if your NICs are not 1 Gbps of bandwidth. So once I've selected the cluster here, it is asking me to select the host, ESXi host, where I can select. So here also I'm getting the same warning with this 100. Okay, so here the compatibility check is successful. Then I'll go for next, then the storage policy and which data store I want to select. So here, like as a virtual disk format, I'll select the same format as the source. If it is a thin or if it is a thick, so it'll select in that way. So as you can see, that the same format as source I'm selecting. Now if you want to reserve the CPU for vMotion performance, so reserve CPU means where your VM is getting migrated, and if your DRS rule is enabled, so based on that it will reserve the CPU so that your migration don't get affected. So here is the summary page, and I'll click on finish. So in the task, as you can see, that VM is being migrated. So it's gonna take some time. So once it is migrated, if you go to the summary tab of the VM, you can see that the host is being changed. So for this video, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this.